how Venezuelans are as clients. Well, today we are going to discuss.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
The question for today is that Venezuelans are good clients? And the answer is depends on the circumstances and the industries. Regarding discretionary spending, Venezuelans are very, very good clients when they are, of course, they have a significant income. However, the elephant on the room is that most Venezuelans are broke. Sadly, that's the case. Around 80% of Venezuelans are, let's say, battling, struggling financially here in the country, and around 70% of Venezuelans abroad are struggling financially as well. Of course, abroad is thanks to the situation that the Venezuelan migration is a fairly young migration compared to the Mexican migration or the Colombian migration or the Chinese migration or the Indian migration. Because these people from the countries that I just mentioned, they have been migrating out of the country throughout the decades. And when you have more time, the typical Warren Buffett phrase, timing the market is better than timing the market. So what means is that creating wealth, creating financial stability takes time. Meanwhile, most of the Venezuelan diaspora migrated on the past 10, 15 years. So they need more time in order to develop themselves financially on their particular countries of reception, like the United States or Spain or Chile or those places. Okay. Having said that, after a while, when they are financially established, they are excellent clients regarding discretionary spending. I'm talking if, let's say, you have a restaurant, they are going to become actually good customers, regular customers, if you cater towards them. And also, if you, let's say, you have a department store or something like that. So Venezuelans are big spenders regarding discretionary consuming. And the other thing, I explain this a lot, is the issue regarding status. The average Venezuelan doesn't apply austerity. They like to spend. Most of the time, they spend beyond their means in order to have the best financial and economic status or perceived economic status possible regarding their particular financial situation. Most Venezuelans, regarding their financial situation, they want to accomplish the most status possible for their particular situation, financial situation, of course. And for instance, in cases like in the United States, where getting credit is fairly easy, Venezuelans will, and actually they are taking advantage of that particular situation. They want the best car possible, the best house possible. They want to dine out, travel, have good clothing, and so on and so on and so on. So they always are gonna be spending a lot if they have of course, the two purchasing power. And in the particular case of the United States, the Venezuelans living over there, doesn't matter of the interest rate, they always are gonna be spending and accomplishing the best financial possibilities and status as they can. Other issue regarding Venezuelans as clients, this is a surprisingly good news that I got from a data that I got my hands on recently, is that Venezuelans are actually better than I expected regarding serving monthly payments, regarding monthly rents, could be serving mortgages, or just discretionary spending that is on a monthly basis. Like, for instance, a discretionary utility, like paying Netflix, something like that. You catch my drift. So Venezuelans actually are quite good serving monthly payments and monthly financial compromises. However, here's the key issue, and this applies for most people abroad, is that Venezuelans, most of the time, they like to bite more than they can chew. And many times they want to be on a compromise regarding a mortgage a little bit higher that they can actually afford, or a rent that higher that they can actually afford, car payments, things of that nature. So the main point is that if you're watching this from abroad, is that they are good clients. However, you have to do the due diligence in order to make sure that their financial possibilities are meeting the criteria of the particular services that they are acquiring, like a mortgage, a lease, or a car payment, something of that nature. Other issue that we have to discuss is that females spend way more than males. I mean, this is a worldwide trend that usually women are responsible for 80% of the consumption, and in Venezuela it's no different, and actually could be higher than 80%, believe it or not, because most Venezuelan women always, regardless of their socioeconomic situation, they want to look the best possible regarding their hair, the nails, the makeup, the outfit, that kind of thing. Regardless, I mean, I'm talking women that are completely flat out broke. They will go, beyond their means in order to have that particular physical presence, yet again, outfit, the makeup, and even in some cases surgery, things like that. So Venezuelan females actually are great clients when they have the financial means in order to access of such services that you might say they are discretionary, but for Venezuelan women, that is not discretionary, it's a necessity. Now, the key issue regarding females, Venezuelan females as customers, you have to verify where the funds are coming. So if something credit is not straight out of pocket, if it's straight out of pocket, you're going to be fine. However, if it's something that is with financing, you have to be careful if they can serve those particular financial payments. Now, let's go with healthcare. Venezuelans actually spend a lot on healthcare. They are accustomed to having access to a good healthcare service. In Venezuela, historically, the healthcare has been very good, both the public and private, for worldwide standards. The Venezuelan healthcare system, the public one, has diminished, still very good for being, quote unquote, free. And the private Venezuelan healthcare services are actually good, expensive for the average Venezuelan, but not expensive for worldwide standards. So they are accustomed to go regularly to appointments with doctors and that kind of thing. So on that regard, and let me go with specialties. For instance, females, yet again, they will not, being cheap regarding gynecology services. So they're going to go with the gynecologist regularly, regardless of their social situation. One thing on that. Also, regarding dentists, Venezuelans spend a lot regarding dentists and teeth healthcare. This is something funny. It's something that I noticed when I travel abroad, not only to the United States, but also in other places in Latin America, is that compared to my experience here in Venezuela, since I was a kid, something I noticed that basically when I was a child, half of my classmates and that kind of thing, they use braces a lot, especially the females. Most females, they had bracelets. And this is something very funny because basically everyone in Venezuela, most people, let's say from lower middle classes and up, they have good teeth actually here in Venezuela, regardless of their social situation. Meanwhile, when I go abroad, I see, the teeth of people here, especially in Western nations, by the way. Why so many crooked teeth here in, abroad? What happens? Why? I mean, I'm talking being a child, being an adolescent, and I find out that dentist work is very expensive abroad. And Venezuela is not like it is cheap, but it's actually somehow affordable. And actually, the people here, we have a bunch of dentists, by the way, here in Venezuela. So they give like discount rates and financing opportunities in order to do braces and teeth operations, things like that. So this is something that Venezuelans don't chip out compared to the rest of the world. And also in Venezuela, we have that culture of taking care of our teeth. Very good. Funny thing though, I just had a visit of a friend that is a dentist. Funny coincidence. And the issue is that in the rest of the world, this is not something that is as important. But in Venezuela, if for the average Venezuelan, it's very, very important. So if you're on this particular business, marketing towards Venezuelans actually can be a profitable way in order to get more patients. And also regarding healthcare, we have to talk about plastic surgery and aesthetic operations. And now the rest of the world is catching up with Venezuelans, but Venezuelans, mostly Venezuelan females, they don't chip out regarding that particular services. They will pay flat out, the consultations and the procedures like the breast implants, maybe occasional nose jobs. Especially, I mentioned this a bunch of times that we have a bunch of Arab descendants. Well, the female Arab descendants, most of them, they get the nose job right from the get-go, and also another things like, Botox and things like that. So Venezuelans, the ones that have the purchasing power but doesn't have to be rich or anything like that, they don't chip out on aesthetic treatments. Now, regarding professional services, that is actually my specialty, Venezuelans and I would say the rest of Latinos chip out a lot. For instance, lawyers. Venezuelans don't pay for legal consultation unless they are on a big trouble and they have to pay a lot upfront when they are already on that particular, let's say, legal draconian situation, instead of getting the professional legal consultation before the crisis happens. And for the rest of professional services, Venezuelans are very cheap on that regard. They don't pay for accounting, consultation. For instance, my job is terrible in Venezuela. Most Venezuelans don't pay for my services. Actually, most of my clients are internationals. That's why I cater towards internationals and I market my work towards internationals, because Venezuelans are terrible clients regarding professional services. And that's why I don't market towards them and they don't go towards me. And it was very hard. I remember when I used to do this practice, if you want to call it like that, when I actually was creating content in Spanish. And that's why I stopped creating content in Spanish, because it was not profitable. And funny thing, now they watch my content a lot in Spanish more than English. I don't know why, but it is what it is. And if you are watching this and you have a professional service that is not related to healthcare, and I will not recommend to cater towards Venezuelans, because it's not going to be profitable to market your particular professional services towards Venezuelans. Also, the Venezuelans have a very particular consumer behavior. First, they are not frugal. They don't apply austerity. They spend a lot. We discussed this a bunch of times. But the most important thing is cater towards status. Also, the Venezuelan client, I have to say this, is very, very demanding. So if you don't like to deal with BS, you don't like to deal, complaints and that kind of thing, don't deal with Venezuelan clients, because they want bang for your buck. They want a bang for their buck. So if you don't have patience, but if you're a business owner or something like that, you know that you need patience for every client. Now, they're not going to be the worst. It's not like the average Venezuelan is a Karen, something like that. But they demand certain quality for their service, for what they're paying for. But mostly what they want to serve is status. Getting things like an iPhone or a nice car or nice clothing and apparel, things like that. But it's something, you need like a balancing act in order to deliver certain status and certain quality with a reasonable price.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.